I am my brother and sister-in-law's only relative in the city. When sister-in-law was pregnant, I made it clear that I'd only babysit for them in the case of a serious emergency. For example, someone has a medical emergency. I won't babysit if they just wanted time off from being parents, because I don't have the free time for that. I work 60 to 100 hours a week, so if anyone needs time off, it's me. Last year, my brother and sister-in-law asked me to babysit on the day of an informal work meeting, a lake retreat organized by my company. Everyone is expected to go, and it's frowned upon if you miss it. They wanted to go on a date. I said no, I have an important work event. They continued to nag me about how they haven't gone on a date for so long. The night before that day, they called in a panic and said their friend Mike from the next city over had been in a car accident and I needed to babysit nephew for a few hours so that they could go visit Mike. I reluctantly agreed, with a stipulation that they'd be back by 7 a.m. the next day to pick nephew up so I could leave for my work event. They did not come back until 2 days later. I had to cancel on my superior's morning of, which looked awful. My brother and sister-in-law never responded to multiple texts and calls from me. Their excuse was that Mike's life was in danger and they were too busy helping his girlfriend. I accepted that, since I had met both Mike and his girlfriend at a party in the past and thought they were good people, but I emphasized that this absolutely could not happen again. Throughout the next 2 months, my brother and sister-in-law regularly used the excuse of aiding Mike in his recovery and needing to visit him in order to make me babysit my nephew. Mike's girlfriend's company and my company had a meeting 2 months after Mike's accident. I ran into her and asked her how Mike was recovering. Apparently, she had no idea he had ever been hospitalized. Neither did Mike. Mike had never been in an accident, and although brother and sister-in-law had gone to visit them recently, it was for drinks and bowling, not bringing them chicken noodle soup in the hospital. I confronted brother and sister-in-law and they denied it first, but finally admitted they had been lying about Mike's accident so that they could go on date nights. They claimed I gave them no choice since I would never help them out when they needed time together because parenting was so stressful and difficult and I had no idea and it was just a little white lie. I made it clear that after this incident, I would never babysit for them again and I've stuck to that. Yesterday my brother and sister-in-law begged me to babysit for them because there was an actual medical emergency in sister-in-law's family. They even sent me proof of the relative's hospitalization. I still said no. They didn't care about betraying my trust, so I don't care if they can't afford childcare or if their relative is in the hospital. They said I was a bad aunt, needed to get over my grudge, and a petty idiot. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, they burned that bridge. They used a lie about the health of a friend to put their priorities above your own. They made you miss work and lied to you for months. They really expect you to do this? Hell that. They need to grow up, and if they weren't ready for the stress of having kids all the time, they shouldn't have had one. These people aren't just idiots, they are bad parents. Who the hell drops their kid off to the person they've tricked into babysitting and then ghosts them for 2 days? Not the idiot. He can stay home with his kids and sister-in-law can go visit her family. Problem solved. They were due back by a certain time but showed up 2 days later. What the hell? Screwing with your job or livelihood is unforgivable. Then, not only did they lie initially about someone's life being on the line, they continued to lie repeatedly. There is no justifying any of that. These are their children. Welcome them to life as a parent. Being an aunt doesn't mean you agree to take the kids every time the parents want to go out. Your relationship with their kids is not for exploitation purposes. Not the idiot, there are such things as professional nanny services. You call them and they send you a nanny who has had a criminal record check and background check for working with kids. Often they even have a teaching or early childhood education. They cost more than the teenager next door, but they are professionals and can be relied on. There is probably a service in every North American city of any size. I imagine this because there is one in the somewhat small city I used to live in. My daughter turns 11 in about 6 weeks. She has been begging for a Nintendo Switch. Due to poor grades and an overall bad attitude, we decided not to get a Switch. Money isn't the issue, it's her behavior. She acts very entitled and she's lying left and right. I just don't feel now is the right time for a Switch. The theft. On Easter, we, my husband, our kids, and myself, are at my husband's aunt and uncle's house. Aunt and uncle have 2 adult children, one of whom is mentally delayed. We'll call her cousin. She functions about a 10-year-old level, but is in her 40s. She lives in an assisted living apartment and has a job where she gets paid about $5 a week, so she doesn't get many upscale things unless they are a gift. Well, cousin had an old Game Boy that she saved up to buy and was playing while we were there. She eventually set it down and moved on to playing a board game with us while the kids ran around playing. Well, this is where it goes to hell in a handbag. My kid decided to be an epic turd and took the Game Boy. She snuck it out of aunt and uncle's by asking if she could go to our car to look for a book she had brought and stashed it in the glove box. She proceeded to hide the fact that she had the Game Boy for several days, even after being asked where she last saw it, her opening to come clean when aunt and uncle called and asked if we had seen where cousin might have left it. Due to cousin's challenges, she was utterly distraught over her missing Game Boy. It's one of the few forms of entertainment she has, and she worked hard to have it. I'm disappointed about the thievery, but I'm even more upset over my kid's attitude about being caught. I only found out about it because her sisters ratted her out. Even then she absolutely refused to tell me the truth and tried to pin it on her sisters. It wasn't until I sat there and thought about it that I knew she was lying to me. Once I told her I knew it had to be her because of examine your zipper did she finally confess. Her behavior only got worse from there. She refused to apologize when uncle and cousin came by to get the Game Boy and had the balls to act like she was the one being wronged. I feel like I need to drop the hammer on her and send the message home that stealing is not okay. I think that purchasing the Switch, with my daughter's help from money she would earn by doing extra chores and having her give it to cousin, might be a good way to deliver that message while simultaneously giving cousin a nice upgrade to make amends. I mentioned this to a friend and they said this would be an idiot move because birthday. I don't really think that matters, but the comment was enough to make me question myself. What do you think? Not the idiot. But don't make her give the gift. Gifts should be freely given, never forced. Let her know you are giving cousin the present you were going to get for her because of her bad behavior and how her behavior hurt cousin. Don't make her give it directly or even witness the gift giving if she can't behave, or else her salty feelings will confuse cousin and possibly make cousin feel bad. Cousin should get to enjoy her gift without worrying about what your daughter thinks. Act to a gift is given freely. Hope this helps and good luck. Being strict now will probably save you a lot of heartache in future. Everyone's the idiot here. Let her learn a lesson. Definitely. But for God's sake, not on her birthday. And don't lie to her the same way, acting as if she's working for the Switch only to take it away later. That'll break her trust, and after all, she's only a child. I'd rather go for something like, I don't favor the idea of you getting a Switch, you misbehaved. Therefore you'll have to work for it yourself and do XY social activity, something that's easy to do where you live. Clean a littered part of a forest together, help out with something. No idiots here, your daughter is screaming for help with her behavior. Don't buy her a Switch, don't buy anyone a Switch. Get some support and get it quickly so your daughter can go through secondary school with a decent plan and plan to help her through it. Could it be the looming secondary or high school event is causing her a lot of mental distress and worry? Maybe. Do you need to help her through that without laying the emotional smackdown? Definitely. As I said. No idiot here, just a crappy situation and a child who needs help from her family. My sister, 28, and her husband came home too with my parents and I, 21, for the holiday. Her kids are 8 and 6. A couple of nights before Thanksgiving, my sister went to a concert with her husband and left the kids with my parents. My parents decided they wanted to go to a dinner party, and they just left in the evening and left the kids there with me. I was not asked to watch the kids, I hate kids. They just told me they were going out and left them in the living room. My sister's kids are at an age where they're loud and hyperactive together. You can't just put a movie on for a time and leave them. I'm in my last year of school and I actually didn't go hang out with some friends so that I could study. So when I noticed this, I just left them alone. I went to my room to study and locked the door. I heard a lot of banging, screaming, and general ruckus. I checked on them to be sure they weren't injuring themselves, but I let them do as they pleased. I wasn't asked to watch them. They ended up causing quite a bit of damage. They broke the TV, I think by throwing stuff at it. They got into my mom's oil paints and smeared them everywhere. Oil paint was on the curtains, walls, sofa, rugs, ceiling everywhere. They had dog food thrown everywhere. Luckily the dog himself was with me, water and juice spilled everywhere in the kitchen. It was a wreck. Honestly, I laughed. However, get this, my mom expects me to pay for the damages. She said I was an idiot for not just studying downstairs and watching the kids. I was not asked to watch them. I told her she should ask my sister for the money. They are her kids. My whole family has been fighting about this for several days. Whatever the outcome, I want to show them this thread to prove that I am not responsible for my sister's banshee. Settle the familial dispute by showing them this thread. But on the off chance, am I the idiot? Everyone's the idiot here, except for your sister and her husband. The kids are idiots, because 8 and 6 are old enough to know some things, like smearing paint everywhere and throwing things at the TV, are just not okay. Your parents are idiots for just leaving and not asking you to watch the kids. And you are an idiot for hearing the chaos, choosing to ignore it, and then laughing about the damages. Your sister and her husband do not idiots because they asked your parents to watch the kids and expected them to be appropriately supervised. You're the idiot. You're the only adult in the house with a couple of kids. No, you shouldn't have been put in that situation without your consent. But once it's been forced upon you, it is extremely selfish and irresponsible to let the kids destroy things. What if they had gotten seriously hurt or started a fire or something more serious than damaging a TV? Being an adult sometimes means being responsible when you don't want to be. Especially when family is involved. Not the idiot. This is way more straightforward than people are making it out to be. You can't just leave children with someone, whoever they might be to you. They didn't accept responsibility. The people or person leaving them just dumped the kids there. Expecting you to take responsibility is ridiculous. Your parents are responsible and should be the ones to pay for everything. They were supposed to watch the kids and then didn't. Tell your mother how unreasonable and selfish she is being. My husband Dean, 29, and I, 26, have a wonderful little girl Lisa and she's 4. I'm a musician by trade, so my work has pretty much stopped and my husband has been working a lot the past few months. I'm basically at home all the time with Lisa and she is missing her dad a lot as she's his double and 100% a daddy's girl. Anyway, I met up with my sister Rose, 32, recently and we ended up visiting a toy store. I saw this male doll which looked a lot like Dean and I decided to buy it for Lisa so that she'd always have a reminder of her daddy. Rose was miffed by this and demanded I buy my niece Flora, also 4, a doll. For years Rose has been trying to basically force me to treat her daughter the same or better than my own. Here are some examples of her behavior. There are only 5 months between the girls and I've had to deal with Rose being weird about that fact for years and during my pregnancy. Lisa is my second daughter as I had a stillborn daughter in late 2014 at 20 and it broke me. Rose witnessed this and when she announced her pregnancy, she was horrible and said that she was expecting the first grandchild, saying my daughter didn't count as she died, whilst our parents and family said it was the second grandchild. Then, when I got pregnant again Rose was weird about it saying I shouldn't have gotten pregnant so quickly and accused me of stealing her thunder of the new grandchild. There have been some other occasions where she just expects our kids to share everything or make everything about Flora for being the first grandchild and I've just had to put up with it. Anyway, Rose kept on insisting and I just snapped and said no. I am sick of you pushing your kid onto me and basically making my one take a backseat. I'm buying my kid a doll literally to make her happy cause she's missing her daddy. Buy your own kid a freaking toy. I ended up buying the toy and walking off. She went tattling to her parents adding dramatic flair to the story calling me a massive idiot for refusing to buy my niece a toy. My dad is in my side saying I've had to put up with her glorifying her kid for years whilst ignoring mine, whilst my mom thinks I should give in to her. My husband says he's sick of Rose and she even brought up my dead daughter again saying she'd be ashamed of her mommy. That reduced me to tears and I told her she's dead to me, but my mom insists I apologize to Rose. I just wanted to comment on the musician by trade part. That's the boat my parents and a lot of families are in and really feel for you. All the jobs are just gone. Even the stable ones with major orchestras are stopped. My parents started drawing their union pensions a year and a half ago, so it hasn't been so bad for them, but I know that it has to be tough for people just starting out or those who are mid-career. Best of luck to you. Oh, and demanding that someone who is suffering from a significant loss of income buy you something. Not the idiot. Not the idiot. Your mom and your sister are the idiots. Your sister is the biggest one, as doesn't matter what the arguing is about, you should never bring up a dead baby, that's just plain disgusting. She should apologize over that. Your mom is an idiot as well in this, as she enables and encourages this behavior of your sister by telling you should be the one apologizing. Honestly, I'm glad your dad is on your side and that you will try to keep a good relationship with Flora, as she is the innocent party of this and should not be punished over her mom. Not the idiot, your sister is being unkind and rude. Maybe try sitting her down and explain how her behavior is unacceptable in a calmer way than in the toy store. She clearly needs some ground rules, especially in relation to how she acts towards you and your daughter. You do not have to accept this kind of behavior. You are allowed to and should, in my opinion, walk away or ask her to leave if it's in your home from any situation where this arises, and she needs to know that. So, this is obviously a long story spanning our entire lives, but I will try to condense it as best I can. Players are me, 30, my sister, 34, husband, 39, nice, 5, and dad, 80. My older sister has had trouble with medicines, drinks, and the law our entire life. She has been backtracked no less than 20 times since her 18th birthday and has actually technically died twice due to her decisions. She's back by the grace of the medical professionals treating her. My dad has constantly bailed her out on anything, whether it be jail or missing rent payments, because she spent the money on medicines. My dad had cancer for the last decade. Despite my sister and him already living in the same apartment complex and my dad paying the entirety of her rent, my husband and I were essentially forced to move across our city 3 months before our wedding because dad was starting chemo and needed extra help. My next 3 years were devoted to caring for dad. I lost 2 jobs due to the time I needed to take off to care for him, and my sister continued to mooch and do absolutely nothing for him. I was the one expected to make medical decisions for him alone because he didn't trust my sister not to try to off him for his money. Dad is now finally at peace, and against my better judgment, I asked my sister to come by so she could say her goodbyes. Before they even came to take him from his apartment to the funeral home, she was demanding that I open and read the will. She insisted that dad had been paying for her to try to finally earn her bachelor's, and she needed $2,000. This amount changed to $3,000 within 24 hours. She started pointing at dad's belongings and said that she was claiming items she wanted. After I finally read the will, I'm the executor of the estate, we learned that dad left everything to me, except for creating a trust fund for my niece that my sister can't touch until her 21st. My sister lost her mind and started demanding that I split what I got from him. Dad also left specific instructions to me and my husband to use what he had left us to buy a house, pay off our debts, and finally start a family, and we really want to honor his last wishes, but we wouldn't be able to if I split it with my sister. Obviously, emotions are high and none of us are thinking right. But am I the idiot for respecting dad's wishes and making sure that we use what he left us for what he wanted it to be used for? Not the idiot. You could easily reword this to am I the idiot for refusing to let my sister spend the hard-earned money of my dead father to spend on medicines, which have literally killed her in the past and will do so again, against the wishes of my father, who specifically asked me not to pay for her medicines in order to keep her safe. By the way, if your sister is still abusing substances, then your niece is in danger and it is in your best interests to call Child Protective Services. Not the idiot. Honor your dad's last wishes and do not give your sister a penny. Anything she gets will be blown on meds or whatever else she is wasting her life on. I suspect your dad knew this, which is why he left you those instructions. She would blow through the money and then be back at your doorstep once it was gone. There will come a time when you have to let your sister sink or swim on her own. If she keeps getting bailed out, it will never end.